All right. Diving into Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh, yeah, this one.
We've got the book itself this time,
Okay.
a YouTube video summary, and excerpts from the preface.
Wow.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Frankl wrote this in just 9 days after being liberated from a concentration camp.
Wow, 9 days.
9 days.
That's incredible.
And he lost almost his whole family in the Holocaust.
It's hard to even fathom.
Except for one sister.
Right.
Just the preface alone, I mean, to go through that and then have the strength to write anything, let alone something so profound.
It's truly remarkable.
The YouTube video talks about logotherapy, his kind of therapy.
Right, his own brand of existential therapy.
It seems like this is about more than just surviving something horrific.
Definitely.
It's about finding meaning in it.
Exactly.
Which is interesting because you wouldn't think there is any.
You'd think it would be the opposite.
Yeah.
Just glad to be alive.
Right, just survival.
But he goes so much deeper than that.
Okay, so logotherapy is the foundation. But then we jump right into the camp through his words.
Yeah, it's pretty jarring.
You go from this reflective preface to being there.
Right in the thick of it.
What struck you most about his description of arriving there?
Well, he talks about this delusion of reprieve, this kind of coping mechanism he and the other prisoners used to deal with that initial shock.
So like a way to protect themselves from being just completely overwhelmed?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like their minds created this buffer, this temporary shield against the reality of it.
And then, of course, there's the selection process.
Oh, yes.
Which just demolishes any of those illusions.
Right. It's brutal.
He describes it as so arbitrary.
Yeah. Chaotic almost.
Like who lives and who dies is just
a whim, it seems like.
Yeah.
So dehumanizing.
And then that part where he sees his friends sent to the gas chambers.
I remember that passage.
Describes him floating up to heaven.
It's chilling.
Such a disturbing image.
It is.
But it also says something about how the mind deals with trauma.
Yeah, that detachment, it becomes like a survival tool.
You have to shut down certain things.
Absolutely.
So detachment for survival.
He goes on to describe these different phases he saw within himself and the others. Phase 1 is just shock.
Right.
Even suicidal thought.
Just this overwhelming disbelief.
Yeah, despair.
And then phase 2 is where things get dulled.
That's when the real emotional blunting kicks in.
That's where the apathy comes in.
Right, as this kind of protection.
I remember that part where he describes a corpse being dragged past.
Oh, yeah.
While he's eating his soup.
And he barely reacts.
It's just unimaginable.
It really shows you the level of numbness.
It's wild, though, that even in this horrific situation, he says they found meaning in these unexpected ways.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Can you talk more about that?
He saw small acts of kindness, humor even, and just clinging to memories of loved ones.
Like those became lifelines.
They did. They gave a sense of hope, of purpose.
So even in this place meant to crush you, these little glimmers of meaning.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's like the opposite of what you'd expect.
It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit.
He also found solace in visualizing his wife.
Right. Even though he didn't know if she was alive.
It's like love and connection can endure anything.
It's a powerful testament.
And this leads us to the core of his argument. That even in suffering, we have the freedom to choose our attitude and find meaning.
That's the heart of logotherapy.
Like meaning isn't dictated by our situation.
Exactly. It's this radical notion.
Which seems impossible given what he went through.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
But maybe that's why it's so powerful.
It's a testament to the strength of the human will.
He talks about this existential frustration.
Yes.
This emptiness from a lack of meaning.
Which is so relevant to us today.
You think so?
I do.
Even though most of us will never go through what he did.
Absolutely.
It's like that feeling of pointlessness some people have.
Yeah, that's what he called neurogenic neurosis.
Okay.
Suffering from a lack of purpose.
So how is this logotherapy different from psychoanalysis?
Well, psychoanalysis digs into the past, unconscious conflicts and all that.
Yeah.
Logotherapy is more forward-looking. It's about the present, the future.
So it's not about dwelling on what happened.
Not so much, no.
It's about finding meaning now.
Exactly.
Which is all well and good to say.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
That's the big question, right?
Especially in a world that feels kind of meaningless?
He actually offers some concrete ways to do it.
Oh, that's good.
3 main avenues, in fact.
Okay, I'm listening.
Creating a work or doing a deed.
Okay.
Experiencing something or encountering someone. And choosing our attitude in the face of suffering.
So not just vague ideas, but actual things to try.
Right. Tangible pathways.
Like that actionable.
He tells the story about a prisoner who found purpose caring for his handicapped son.
In the camps.
Yes, even there.
Wow.
It gave him meaning, responsibility.
That's amazing.
Even in that environment, love and connection were there.
What about experiencing something or encountering someone?
There's this woman who found solace in a chestnut tree.
A tree?
She could see it from her window.
Interesting.
It was a connection to nature, to beauty,
Wow.
a reminder that there was a world outside.
So meaning in unexpected places.
Absolutely.
And then choosing our attitude in the face of suffering.
That one's tough.
For sure.
But he uses his own experience as an example.
Okay.
His determination to reconstruct his lost manuscript.
The one the Nazis took?
Yeah.
He wanted to rewrite it.
It became this driving force.
That's powerful.
It shows that even in suffering, we can create.
So meaning isn't something we just find lying around.
Right.
We make it.
Through our choices, our actions.
Even when things are terrible.
Yes, that's the key.
So we've seen how to find meaning in the most unexpected places. But what about after liberation?
Yes.
It doesn't sound like it was easy.
It wasn't for many.
He talks about bitterness, disillusionment.
It makes sense, though.
Going back to a world that didn't understand.
Exactly.
And then there's that story about the former SS doctor who apparently showed compassion.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It makes you think about the possibility of change.
Redemption, even.
That even those who've done terrible things
can transform.
So what does all this mean for us listening?
That's the question, isn't it?
Most of us haven't been through anything close to what he did.
Right.
How do we apply these lessons about meaning?
That's what Frankl would want us to think about.
I mean, his book is so specific to his experience.
It is.
But the message seems universal.
It's about responsibility, choice, finding meaning.
It's a reminder that we're not just products of our circumstances.
We have agency.
Even when things are tough.
Yeah.
So Frankl's work is powerful because of the context.
Definitely.
But the message is about something deeper.
The human experience.
Our need to find our place in the world.
And create a life that has meaning.
I'm really interested to see where this goes.
Me too.
As we keep diving into man's search for meaning.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack.
I think it'll be fascinating to see how his ideas apply to our modern world.
Absolutely. It's timeless in a way.
Before we move on, though,
yeah,
you mentioned being drawn to the idea of choosing our attitude. How do you see that playing out in your own life?
Well, it's a pretty profound concept.
It is.
The idea that even when things are out of our control, we can still choose how we respond.
And find meaning.
Right, create meaning from our experiences.
It's a shift in perspective.
It is.
From feeling helpless to recognizing our own power.
Yeah, our agency.
I think that's what makes his work so relevant today.
It's not just a history lesson.
Right.
It's a guide.
To living a more meaningful life. Filled with purpose and resilience.
Which is something we all need.
Okay, so let's continue this exploration.
Yeah, let's see what else we can uncover.
In man's search for meaning.
It's going to be a good one. It's interesting, you know, we talk about Frankl finding meaning in the camps, but his work isn't just about individual resilience.
Okay.
He also highlights the importance of community.
Oh, interesting.
Connection with others.
Yeah, makes sense. He wasn't alone there.
Right. He was surrounded by other prisoners.
All going through the same horrific thing.
Did he talk about how those relationships affected survival?
Oh, for sure.
He observed that those with strong social bonds, they were more likely to make it.
Makes sense. You're stripped of everything else.
Yeah, your identity, your possessions, those connections to others become even more vital.
That's all you have left.
Yeah, exactly. He talks about friendship, camaraderie.
Sharing those experiences.
Helping each other endure.
Find hope.
Like that part where he visualizes his wife's face, even though he doesn't know she's alive.
It was a lifeline.
A connection to the world outside.
A reminder of love.
And it shows that even when people are absent, those relationships can still sustain us.
It's powerful.
We need to nurture those bonds.
So it's not just about inner strength then?
No, it's a combination.
Individual resilience.
And the power of human connection.
Both are essential.
He doesn't give us a simple formula. He shows us the complexity of it all.
You mentioned Frankl's existential vacuum.
Yeah.
You said it was relevant to us today?
I think it is.
Can we dive into that a bit?
Of course.
So his insights go beyond just the individual level.
They do. He also talks about society as a whole.
Like the forces that shape our lives.
Exactly. He says that If a society doesn't provide meaning, purpose for its people,
it leads to despair,
disillusionment.
He called it collective neurosis, right?
That's it. He saw it in the camps.
Where they systematically stripped away everything.
Identity, values, purpose.
Trying to break them.
But he warns that it can happen anywhere.
So even though we're not in a concentration camp, the lack of meaning can create a kind of camp.
That's a good way to put it.
Trapping people.
He was worried about materialism,
okay,
consumerism, chasing pleasure.
Like, those are substitutes for real meaning.
They might feel good in the moment,
yeah,
but they don't last.
It's like we're told to buy more, consume more.
Distract ourselves.
But it never really satisfies.
Frankl would say those are just distractions.
From what really matters.
Meaning, purpose.
Connection to something bigger.
So we have this society losing its meaning.
Right.
What did he say we should do about it?
How do we fix this collective neurosis?
Well, he thought it was a two-part thing.
Okay.
First, individuals need to take responsibility.
For their own lives.
Finding their own meaning, purpose.
Okay.
But it's not just on the individual.
Right. Society has a role, too.
He said societies need to create structures that support people in their search.
Like education.
Yes. Meaningful work, social connections.
Contributing to something bigger.
So it's not just about individual achievement.
It's about a culture that nourishes the spirit.
Compassion, empathy, service.
Recognizing everyone's worth.
Regardless of their achievement.
That's what makes a healthy society.
Frankl believed that.
You know, hearing you talk about this makes me think of your own work.
Oh.
The ways you're trying to make a difference.
Oh.
Could you share a bit about that?
Well, what drew me to Frankl was his emphasis on action. Putting these ideas into practice.
Right.
For me, that's taken the form of.
That's so inspiring to hear how you're making it real.
Trying to, one step at a time.
It reminds us we can all make a difference.
Exactly, big or small.
So back to man's search for meaning. Frankl doesn't shy away from those big questions, does he?
He really doesn't.
The meaning of life. Making a difference in this crazy world.
Those are questions we've all wrestled with. But what's so powerful about Frankl is that he's not just talking about it theoretically.
It comes from experience.
Real lived experience.
Of the worst kind of suffering.
And he doesn't give us easy answers either.
Right. No simple solutions.
But he does give us a framework.
A set of principles.
Guide us on our own journeys.
I like that word, journey.
We talked earlier about choosing our attitude. That seems central to his whole philosophy.
It is. He says even in suffering we have that freedom.
Freedom to choose how we respond.
How we interpret things.
What meaning we make from it all.
It's not about pretending everything's fine.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we still have a choice.
Even when we feel like we're victims.
We have agency.
That's a hard one to wrap your head around.
It is, but it's so empowering.
It's what makes us human.
That ability to find meaning in pain.
To transcend our circumstances.
Grow, develop, make a difference.
Even when it feels like everything's falling apart.
Frankl's a great example of that.
He didn't just survive.
He came out with a purpose.
To help others find their own meaning.
Beautiful, isn't it?
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are you taking away from this?
Yeah, what resonates with you most?
Frankl's work can be like a mirror.
Reflecting back on our own lives.
Forcing us to ask the tough questions.
And don't be afraid to ask them.
You're not alone in this search for meaning.
It's a universal thing.
We're all in this together.
Trying to figure it out.
Embrace the challenges, the complexities.
That's where the growth happens.
Remember, meaning isn't just found.
It's created.
It takes effort, intention.
Stepping outside your comfort zone.
And it's a lifelong journey.
So be patient with yourself.
Don't get discouraged.
We're all figuring it out as we go.
And never lose sight of hope.
The power of connection.
The resilience of the human spirit.
Even in the darkest times.
There's always a reason to keep going.
Always meaning to be found.
And always a chance to make a difference.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive
into Viktor Frankl's incredible work.
We hope it inspires you on your own journey.
To find meaning
and purpose
in your life.
And in the world.